Good, I don't know if it's not afternoon yet, is it? Okay, so good morning still, everybody. My name is Martin Merrell. I'm a sales engineer with StorageCraft. And we're going to finish up my portion of our field day today to talk about the on-prem core solution that StorageCraft has been offering for a good long time. All right, the core product is called ShadowProtect SPX, and this is actually what we're looking at right now. Now, I've already mentioned that this is an image-based backup solution. Okay, so when I say that we're taking a backup, we're actually capturing an image at the sector level, wherever it is that we're backing up, and we're going to create this image. It's going to be saved in StorageCraft's own proprietary format. All right. Now, the solution is actually, there's nothing really complex about it. You'll notice that the console itself is relatively simple to use. Any backup job that's currently been running shows right up here at the top. You can get some additional details about the backup, for example, how much disk space is being used, where those files are being sent to.
So is this
all
sort
that
of
can be
thing
found.
like available on the vCenter plugin or anything like that? Or?
So no, this is actually, so that's a great question. let me start with that actually. So the SPX solution requires the backup agent to be installed on each machine, but you don't actually have to be sitting at the machine to do anything with it. Now, we don't necessarily integrate within vSphere or vCenter necessarily, but we do have a tool called Shadow Control that can help with deployments and can help to monitor your solution. So Shadow Control is this, wow, look at this right here. It doesn't look like you can do much with it. Shadow Control is an appliance that you can actually build as a VM. All right, and you can actually host it. Essentially what it is, it's a web server that collects data from all of your different ShadowProtect SPX endpoints so that you can log into a web server or the actual web server with the web browser and see how the backup data, how things look. Are my backups failing? Do I have any machines that require attention? Our Image Manager application also is reporting to that, and I'll get to Image Manager in just a second so you know what that looks like. So your StorageCraft implementation is likely going to be starting here with Shadow Control, particularly when we're dealing with a large deployment. To your point, you've got an ESXi server and you've got 50 machines just hosted right there within that cluster or whatever. You probably don't want to actually physically install SPX on each one of those machines. Without Shadow Control, we can do that through group policy. Our installer is an MSI installer that works with group policy, so that's fine. But if you're not going to use group policy, what we can do instead is build a Shadow Control appliance, and you can log into that appliance, which by way with a little web browser. So my Shadow Control appliance is this right here, and this is essentially what Shadow Control looks like. All right, so to start with, you're going to go ahead and have Shadow Control up and running. You can do your push installations by using our push install option right here, which allows you to import a set of IP addresses that you can use to do the push install out to. If you've had the opportunity to install our Shadow Control agent first, those machines will already be reporting, and you can install SPX to help clarify that. In order for your machines to communicate with Shadow Control, there is a little agent on each machine that needs to be installed as well.
Speaking of which, how lightweight is that agent?
You don't even know it's there. That's my best answer. It is. Yeah. It's a service. It's essentially just a service that runs. It's very, very lightweight.
You could even call it a secret agent.
Man.
You would not have even known about it had I not said something. It's that secret. So, but yeah, that's a good question. It's very, very small, very lightweight, and its only function is to tell Shadow Control, what the machine is doing, and to enable communication between Shadow Control to the machine. But anyway, you got your push install option right up here. Another great thing about Shadow Control is that you can actually set up your backup policies from here as well. So, if you're at an organization and you want to generate a backup policy that applies to all of your Exchange servers and SQL servers equally when it comes to RPOs, how often you're taking incrementals, that type of thing, you can go ahead and set up those policies and apply them to those different machines. Okay.
So does ShadowProtect run as a separate VM?
Shadow Control is its own VM, yes.
VM.
ShadowProtect is not. No. ShadowProtect is the application that gets installed in each machine. So, yeah. So that's a good question. Is there additional question or confusion around that?
So I'm trying to think, is it like a media server or something like that level, and it's a single level backup kind of thing?
That's exactly right. So each instance of SPX operates independent of anything else. It is its own backup solution for that device. So we can connect to it from Shadow Control and tell the agent what to do. We can connect to it from a local agent. So going back here to SPX, if you don't have Shadow Control, you've installed everything through Goop policy, we do have a console you can launch on one machine. And from this console, you can connect to multiple SPX deployments. And when you do so, that machine is the one that's live on the console.
An SPX deployment, is that a virtual machine?
Deployment is the term I'm using to get SPX installed.
So you have this
across
very
different
secret
machines.
lightweight agent. It runs in each of the VMs.
Yes.
And you've got Shadow Control, which is basically a monitoring deployment aid solution. And you've got the ShadowProtect deployment running someplace.
So
It's actually going to suck up the snapshots and put it on some storage and make sure it gets cataloged and all this other stuff, right?
yeah, it happened. But all of that happens at the one machine level. So here's how that all
This
works.
very, very lightweight secret agent level.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you're going to be one of those guys. I totally
Does it
get
mean that the core of the service is running on the cloud, on your cloud offering actually?
No.
No, let's see if we can clarify this thing
Can
here.
you clarify this for us?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the way this all works out is so SPX, you can buy a single SPX license, install it on a machine. You don't need anything else at all. You can simply launch the console on that machine. This console right here that we're looking at, just launch it on that machine. It'll automatically connect to the agent that's running on that machine. This agent starts at boot time. It's running like a service, and its function is, I'm going to see what's going on this machine. When it's time to take a backup,
So
gonna
the
take a
backup
snapshot
runs in
and
a
create a
web
backup.
browser? This console? Is that?
no. So this console, the console that we're looking at here, is what would run if you ran ShadowProtect SPX.exe. This is your way to talk to the agent, essentially. So
It's the admin console for the local agent.
it's an admin console, and it essentially tells that agent what to do. It's literally like, let's say you're the agent and you've got a task to perform. I'm the console, and I tell you, take a backup, and then you take the backup, is essentially how that works. But I give you special instructions. I want you to take a backup every 15 minutes, and I want you to take that backup and put it on that storage right there, and that's essentially all we're doing. But that happens at each machine.
Just a quick question, then we talked about backup destinations. We were talking, usually you're saying most people do it to a local NAS box. So if I want to go direct to some kind of direct attached storage somewhere, I need somebody in between. I need some kind of NAS protocol to get there.
No. The agent itself and ShadowProtect SPX, it can communicate directly to a direct attached device.
On that machine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
generally speaking, if I want to consolidate my backups, I
Yeah.
would need some kind of NAS backend somewhere which would accumulate.
which can help to do that.
Okay.
Right. And that kind of brings to us our conversation about Image Manager. The solution itself is really not very complicated. In fact, I think a lot of times we start thinking, we understand all these different backup, the way all these different backups solutions work, but ours really is just as simple as install our software on the machine and tell it to take a backup, and it takes a backup and saves it where you tell it to save it, and that's what we're doing. At its most basic level, that's what we're doing. These things that I'm pointing out here, these are just ways that might make it easier for you to be able to say, okay, I got 50 machines here, and each one of them has an agent that I have to talk to. So why don't I open up my little Shadow Control, or maybe just open up its own, just a single SPX console that's installed on a different machine there. Why not just open that up and say, use it to communicate across all my different machines and say, you back up, do this, these machines here, back up this way, you machine over here, back up like this. You're just performing that function through.
Sending the configuration down.
And you
Right.
you create policies and
Yeah.
apply them to groups of machines or something along those lines?
Absolutely. In fact, that's what I was pointing out first off when I was showing you the Shadow Control interface here. So, when I do this,
There's
when
no
I set,
actual backup VM running anywhere.
No. It's not like Veeam where there's a master machine running
Right.
everything. You've got
okay,
a
that's
console.
what, I was wondering if that. Yeah, no, we don't have a master server that controls everything.
You have a bunch of autonomous clients.
and is putting all
Lightweight
this
secret
processing power.
autonomous clients.
Well, think of it as.
Yeah, that lightweight secret
Well,
agent.
you can think of it, it's the same way Time Machine works. Time Machine works is you've got a local storage, you plug in a USB disk, it copies locally.
Yes.
Like you said, if I see a local disk, I copy to it.
Yes.
Or I can say, go to this network storage somewhere and put a copy in this directory.
That's
And
exactly right.
So it's exactly the same kind of thing, but
Time
each one's
machine's a
autonomous.
desktop. solution.
So when
But
you're then
this has a
integrating
console
into
that you
the cloud
administer multiple.
replication, have you then got another machine that runs that effectively acts like a media agent?
Okay, no, that adds to our conversation a little bit. So you're exactly right. The core StorageCraft solution consists of two applications. There's SPX, which is what we're talking about now. This is the big stuff. You know, SPX installed on each machine. Each machine is operated individually to create a backup and save the data at whatever storage is that you set up for it. Image Manager does run on a single machine, and Image Manager, it has a role of making sure that your backup images are always in good shape. It verifies them, okay? It verifies them. It performs the consolidation functionality. So when you're creating a backup chain and you've got a full backup and, you know, a whole big set of all these different recovery points all kind of situated and relating to each other, this would be the tool that provides consolidation points, you know, at the end of each day, the end of each week, the end of each month. And it also provides our retention policy. So once we've got consolidation points, I call them consolidation points. You might consider them some synthetic recovery points representing larger periods of time. We can start purging out the smaller incremental points and keeping these larger ones, and thereby shrinking that backup chain, which means fewer hops during a restore process that you have to read through different files, as well as the ability to save space. That's Image Manager's role.
And if you're deduping or compressing the target images, are you doing that? And if you are, where is that work done? Is that done at the client, or is that done using like Image Manager?
So we're not deduping anything. So we're not actually deduping. What we're doing is we're taking, so the way the consolidation works, SPX, let's say you got SPX taking, you know, 15 backups throughout the day. All right, you got it happening, you know, maybe every hour and a half, whatever it is, that gets you 15 incremental recovery points in that day. At the end of the day, Image Manager generates a consolidated file which represents what the end of that day looked like. And now you've got that consolidated file which represents the end of the day, and it essentially becomes the recovery point for the day. All right, and when you're doing a recovery or a restore, you know, you'll hit that day recovery point, collect whatever information is found there, and then it'll then, instead of connecting through and weeding past all these other incrementals that happened throughout the day, it'll just hop to the next prior consolidated recovery point, thereby shrinking the number of hops that it has to take as it creates the restore process.
Consolidation Manager, Image Manager, as you call it, really is the backup retention solution in this environment.
It is.
And it's a VM running someplace?
It is an application that can run on any Windows machine that you
it runs on the Windows machine.
So it's not a standalone server. Good question.
Yeah, so your agent base, and you say that you don't have any dependency on the hypervisor. Does it mean that you can run a physical workload, you can do physical backups as well?
Yes.
And are you able to do physical backups in your cloud solution and have that running as a VM?
Yes. Yes.
So you can do P2V and run on the cloud, a physical workload.
That's exactly right. So the software works the same, whether you're backing up a physical machine or a virtual machine. Okay. And so you know, let's say I take this huge beast, all right, this one that people make fun of because it's so big. You know, I'm backing it up. It's a physical device, but I've got a backup image of it. All right. I replicate that backup image into the cloud. I can spin that up as a virtual machine, just like any backup that might have been taken from a virtual machine. All right. But here's what I want to get to and show before I end. And this is kind of the last thing I want to actually demonstrate for our current you know, on-prem solution. SPX was designed not just to be able to create that backup image so that you've got it and you can restore with it, but it's actually designed so that you can do it quickly. And that's where our virtual boot technology comes in, okay? Virtual boot allows us to take our backup image, regardless of where it was created, and spin it up locally as a VM, utilizing whichever hypervisor we want. All right, now it's this technology that actually allowed us to win that Best of VMworld award that I talked about earlier on. The ability to take a backup from any environment that we want, spin it up as a VM in literally just a matter of a couple of minutes. And so that's what I want to actually demonstrate today. So I've got SPX currently running. It's taking a backup, all right? But at some point in time, it fails on me. This is where my mission critical machine dies, right? All right, and we're just going to power it off. But we're going to pretend it died, all right? So it's gone. Now, I have SPX installed here locally on my local machine. So I'm going to go ahead and get it. I'm running the ShadowProtect SPX console. It's going to talk to the SPX agent that's on my machine, which is fine because that means I can back up this machine. But it's also going to have the dual purpose of launching my recovery option for that other machine. What's my password? Oh, come on, I'm not very good today. Hold on. Okay, so it's not doing that. This may just make me a liar. Let's try this one more time. It is my local session. Do I have cap locks? No. Okay, well, it looks like I've locked myself out of my local ShadowProtect SPX. So let me just share with you how this is all supposed. Actually, hold on. I might. No, that's not going to work. Okay, never mind. Okay, so it looks like I shot myself in the foot. If we can pause the video for just a second, I'm going to at least show you how it works. Although we're not actually going to be able to spin this up, so it's, I guess that's what you get.
What credentials are being used for each individual
Just local,
agent?
just my local admin, just local admin credentials.
Is
So
there-
it should have worked. It should have worked.
Does anybody who's got local admin can use SPX on a host?
Can access the client, yeah. Can access the console
Right. Okay.
and be able to do it. So yeah, that's a good point. If you want to lock it down,
And on a Linux machine, that would be done how?
same way. So
Local service account?
Root.
yeah.
Got
So
them.
I mean, yeah. Root will definitely do it, but you know, you can create an SPX user group
Okay.
and then assign whatever users to it that you want to, and that'll be just fine.
Can I ask a question about images? So
Yeah.
you mentioned you guys are using a proprietary image format. So is that, have you had multiple generations or versions of those image formats? And if so, how long would they be supported? For example, in the future, let's say I've got customers, back something up and they need to keep it for 7 years. How can they definitely make sure they can get it back in 7 years?
So that's a great question. No, it's the same image format we've always used. So when we create a backup, I mean, if you've got an older version of SPX and you've created a backup and at some point in time upgraded, but you've archived the old backup images, our newer version of the software will still be able to read from those images, and it'll work out just fine. All right, so it looks like we're stuck with just kind of, again, you got to use your imagination, but I'm going to show you how this thing would work, and hopefully you can get an idea for how this is all supposed to pan out. All right, okay, so now we're back to the session. So the virtual boot is launched with our little, looks like a little wooden crate here. Okay, let's get this out of the way. All right, that actually starts the virtual boot process. Now I would go all the way with this and let it finish booting, but we're already in a VM. I can't guarantee the nesting is going to work very well, so I'm not gonna attempt it. But the whole idea is, let's say a machine fails. So long as I'm working with the SPX console on a machine that has access to those files, if they're shared someplace and I can authenticate and I can find those backup files, I can run this. I'll start the virtual boot process. I'll click on Add Image File. I'm going to choose the set of backup images that I want to use. All right, I'm going to choose the point in time that makes the most sense and click on, and select that. My backups are encrypted, so I'm going to enter the encryption password real quick. All right. It'll come back then with the point in time that I'm booting from and the machine that I'm going to be booting as well. That should come back here in just a second. Or maybe a minute. There it is. Okay, so here it is. So it tells me the machine I'm booting, the point in time I'm going to be booting from, the image file, that's all right there. As I hit next, then I get to choose my hypervisor. So again, what I'm doing here, and you can do this with any machine that has been backed up, regardless of whether it's a physical machine or a virtual machine, all right, is I can say, without doing any prep beforehand, I mean, my backup images are in their own proprietary format. Without any prep beforehand, without having to do any kind of restore, without having to do any kind of conversion, I can essentially say, listen, I've got a vSphere server, or in this case, maybe, I got a Hyper-V server, whatever, and I hit next, and it allows me to start a virtual machine reading directly from my backup images. All right, on ESXi, vSphere, this is the technology that won us our best of VMworld. Because what we were able to demonstrate at VMworld was a virtual machine hosted on Hyper-V that was being backed up. Okay, what we did is we started virtual boot, and we selected a point in time from that backup set, from that Hyper-V virtual machine, and we said, I want you to boot this up in ESXi, and it did. ESXi, it started a brand new virtual machine, was hosting it. You saw it appear in vSphere in real time. Once that machine was all booted up, we were able to confirm that machine is up and running and working. Now, the thing that really clinches it is the fact that our virtual boot within vSphere allows us not only to just create that virtual machine. Remember, we're reading this directly from our backup images. We're not converting anything yet. And within VirtualBox and Hyper-V, that's the way it stays. It's meant to be just a temporary thing. With ESXi, though, and with a vSphere scenario, vSphere cluster, we can actually bring that machine up, reading directly from the backup images, but once that machine starts booting, we can start a process in vSphere which will actually backfill to a permanent VMDK file. So that while this machine is booting, once it's running, it's initially communicating just with its backup images to get the information that it needs and to be operational. But then you'll start a process and we will automatically convert the backup data, copy it over, create a VMDK file. Once that VMDK file is completed, we will automatically switch seamlessly to operation from that VMDK file, and you successfully migrated from a dead machine using its backups into a permanent VMDK file. And this could have been from any environment. A physical machine, could have been a virtual machine hosted on vSphere or Hyper-V, and that's what we did, and it worked.
So you can convert from a Hyper-V running virtual machine to a vSphere running virtual machine to a bare metal solution.
To a bare metal
if you
solution.
wanted.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
through StorageCraft.
Did I miss, do you say how does vSphere get access to those backup files? Is it NFS or iSCSI or?
It's going to be like, okay, so it's like NFS. So the actual process is this. You'll notice, and I can't go any further because I actually don't have a vSphere machine to connect to, but you'll notice there's several different steps here. So you'll select your hypervisor. In this case, it'll be vSphere, right? Then the next step will be to log into vSphere, so gain access to it, right? And then I need to confirm the path back, and that's most likely going to be NFS.
Okay.
You're going to be given an NFS address essentially to where those backup images are.
Okay.
So the vSphere says, okay, I'm here, and oh, there's your images. That's essentially what we're doing, right? You'll also select the cluster, the vSphere cluster that you want to utilize. And you'll go ahead, there is a virtual boot plugin that needs to be installed on vSphere the very first time you do it. Once it's installed, it doesn't need to be done anymore. You'll then select a data store so that you can store that VMDK file when it's completed, and then give your virtual machine some RAM, some processing power, and let it go. And you've got things going. Okay? That's virtual boot for vSphere.
When you do a restore like that and it rebuilds the machine, is it automatically protected again and the backup policies continue to be in effect?
That's just a fantastic question. So the answer is
Thank
yes.
Josh for that.
So thanks, Josh. Oh yeah, I didn't even think a lot of these questions might have been coming from the audience.
All the good ones are ours.
All right.
Speak for yourself.
There's throwing down the smack talk already. So the answer is yes. When you have a virtual boot machine running, whether it's in the VirtualBox, Hyper-V, or vSphere scenario, the SPX is still running. The service launches just like it would if it was the physical machine. And on the same schedule of the backup policy that you selected, it'll continue to take backups. So that when if you are in a Hyper-V or VirtualBox kind of a scenario and you need to do a failback, you've got a point in time representative of what's happened within that VM that you can restore with.